Hello, my Topic Mixer family. Welcome to Topic Mixer with Big Al. I hope you're watching this and I hope you subscribe to Topic Mixer. Now, this is on the topic of the most recent police brutality case. And I'm sure there was other incidents that happened during the week, but this one made the news the most. It happened in Phoenix, Arizona. The case was of Drayvon Ames and Leisha Harper and their two kids. The one child is 1, the other one is 4. Leisha Harper happened to be carrying her 1-year-old child at the time when the police pulled her and her boyfriend over for a shoplifting incident at a mall. Supposedly, the store called because the 4-year-old stole a Barbie doll. According to the report that was given, Drayvon was asked to stop by the Phoenix police somewhere near the scene of the quote-unquote crime and failed to stop. Leisha Harper was in the car with him as well as the other 2 children. Eventually, they were pulled over by the Phoenix police, who jumped out the car with their guns drawn. A lot of things going on here, and this is over basically a 4-year-old child stealing a Barbie doll. But to go on with the incident, at the time, Drayvon Ames was forced to get out of the car. Leisha Harper had a little more difficulty since the driver's side passenger door, rear door, could not be opened. She was in the back seat of the car, and the door couldn't be opened. It was impossible, probably because it's an older model car. So the police continued to fuss at her and fight with her until she finally got out of the car with the 1-year-old child. Now, the video clearly shows that the police were acting suspiciously harsh for a shoplifting case. Though the 2 were being verbally defensive, they basically were cooperating with officers. Drayvon was up against the car. He was being handcuffed when he was kicked by an officer. Leisha Harper was holding her 1-year-old daughter and was telling the police she had her daughter in her hands. She couldn't put her hands up. Well, the police officer apparently attempted to grab the child from her hand at the time of the incident. And also, it can be seen in the video as this happening. Of course, she ended up giving her child to a bystander, a person she didn't even know, in order so that the police could put them on handcuffs and set them on the corner. According to this case in the report that was filed, neither one were charged with crime related to the shoplifting incident. Now, Drayvon Ames supposedly in the same report admitted to throwing underwear out the window because he was afraid the police was going to get them on a shoplifting charge. This is what was said. And apparently there was one other party there, Anon. Yet, the police, at the end of this investigation, released the 2 without any charges, other than a ticket for driving without proper identification in a car based on the fact that Drayvon had a previous DUI charge. The car was also impounded at the time. Now, looking at this case, there is currently a $10 million lawsuit out by Drayvon Ames and Leisha regarding this incident. It also involves the 2 children, one that was 1 and the one that was 4. And according to Alicia, her 4-year-old is permanently scarred because of what happened. She says she's always told the people, her children, to respect the police. That's true. That's probably true. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about this from 2 angles. First, let's talk about the angle of the police. The Phoenix police, to me, seem to be overreact to a case of a 4-year-old with a Barbie doll or adults stealing out of a store, which is terrible on the surface, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But to go to the point where you're pulling out your gun, threatening to shoot one of the parties, and kicking another one that was handcuffed. None of that makes any sense. They did not commit an act of violence against you. They did not resist arrest. They may have been verbally defensive, but that's about the limit to the case. In the end, the parties that were injured were the two that did the least crime that you possibly could do. In the end, the total crime probably was less than $25. Not even worth going to jail over. There may not even be a fine involved in that, and a lot of times the judges will kick those cases out or give you community service at the most. So it was not worth what happened to these folks. So why would the police react this way? Well, there's several reasons they could have reacted that way. And one thing that's going on with the Phoenix police is there's 3,500 Facebook posts out about how they treat people of color and Spanish folks, or how they feel about people who are Spanish or black people. It can be indicative of something. Even though I know there's a city councilman named Sal DeCiccio who says, hey, it's their freedom of speech, they have a right to say it, but your freedom of speech can also talk about what kind of person you are. And this is a person that's a police officer. They're supposed to protect and serve every citizen of Phoenix, Arizona. I don't live in Phoenix, so I don't know the full extent of what they do there, but I do know this. If you're a police officer, your job is to protect and serve all citizens, regardless. Yeah, Drayvon and Alicia didn't have a good situation. Maybe they committed, maybe they did shoplift, and that's terrible that happened. So let's talk about this first. Was the reaction basically worth what happened? No, it wasn't. It's awful. It's terrible. And the police need to go back, and even though they're investigating this case, which clearly has a film that explains that something was wrong here. I mean, it clearly explains that this was an overreaction to the particular crime. The level of brutality was not necessary. Sure, you can say nobody was bleeding at the end of the day, but both parties, Drayvon Ames and Alicia Harper, say they were injured. There's a $10 million lawsuit being brought by them, and they're being represented by a former district attorney, Tom Horn. And at one time, he was the attorney general. So this is something serious. This is truly serious. And the NAACP is even looking into this. And I know there's going to be those detractors out there. Well, they committed a crime. You know, this is in the process of a crime. So let me talk about the other end of this, because this is my first topic video of the evening. I'm getting close to the end. Let's talk about the other side of this. There may have been, allegedly, two people committing a shoplifting crime who had two children and possibly one other person with them. This incident was caused by their choices. Their actions caused a reaction. Now, I don't care what your situation is in life. If you're stealing underwear, usually that's a bad thing. You've gotten to the point you don't have any cash and this is your only option out. That's terrible. But just remember what the consequences of those things could have been. We could have been looking at a dead child, a dead woman, maybe two dead people, or four. Was all of that worth underwear and a Barbie doll? None of that from either party is worth that. It's not worth it at all. I find this horrifying. I find this situation unnecessary. Police could have reacted in a better way. They did not protect and serve. They actually violated the constitutional rights of these two individuals in so many ways that I don't even want to go there right now. Now, I would like to hear your reaction to the same situation, so please comment below. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please hit that subscribe button now. And thank you again for tuning in to Topic Mixer.